Hello and welcome everybody. It's Matthew here and we are set for a really excellent session. I'm very, very excited about this particular topic because it's the one that's most near and dear to my heart, and that is sales. So I will just go ahead and put me here. There we go. Nice of you to join me. I'd love to know that you're with me live. So grab the comments box, whether you're on YouTube live or LinkedIn live. Welcome. Thank you very much for coming. And I just want to make sure everybody can see me and hear me. So if you could just find the comments box and let me know, yes, you can see me. Yes, you can hear me. I've got the slides happening just over there. So we'll get cracking in just a moment. But actually, well, let's just get started now. We might as well get these things happening all underway. Well, let's dive into it. So today is all about unlocking consistent conversion. So we're specifically talking about SaaS, and what I like about this is that there's so many businesses out there in the SaaS space and building SaaS products. And I guess the misconception in the marketplace is we need to make sure that we're not forgetting about sales. Thank you, Rosalind. Thank you, Tanya. Really appreciate it. I'm glad you guys can hear me. Okay, Michael. I won't do everybody's name. It feels like Romper Room if you're old enough to remember that. So today we're going to be covering off I guess the main things that we're talking about. Thanks, Ken. I've got a new camera, so hopefully I'm aesthetically pleasing enough, and I've got a new t-shirt trying to pretend to be young. All right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to go through the SaaS Accelerator, and what I mean by that is what does it take for a SaaS business to actually succeed, because it's different to a consulting business. It's different to just pure software business. So if you're in software, if you're in consulting, you'll still get some value out of this. But I'm going to be speaking specifically to the people in SaaS. All right. So now do grab the comments box, everybody, please. Whether you're, as I said, LinkedIn or YouTube. Because I'm going to be putting out ideas. Often I find myself during these webinars saying, hey, message this in the comments and I'll send it out to you. I don't want you to miss out on some of the resources that I've got lined up to give to everybody here today. So let's dive into it. Let's get into the agenda first. Most people want to know what they're up for. So I will minimize me. You've seen me. You've seen this head. So I'll bring me down to here and we'll bring the slides on. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to be talking about the 4 main impact areas. Now, if you've joined me on a webinar before, you'll already know them. This is for there's for every single webinar that I do, there's usually about 50% of people, 40 to 50% of people who haven't seen my content before or my webinars before. So I'm going to be covering those things again. And I want to make sure that we're really clear about what they are. So these are the main impact areas. These are the areas of your business in relation to sales and marketing. Of course, product development and customer service, these things are important, but not necessarily what we're talking about today. And the second thing is the evolution of sales. Sales has changed. I started my first technology business back when I was 22. That's a lot of years ago now. And at that time, it was a very, very different sales landscape. And so I'll tell you how we did it, how we built that business to over $10 million a year and expanded that across Australia, New Zealand, and Southeast Asia. I'll tell you a little bit about that as we go. But there has been an evolution of sales. And what's interesting is that a lot of people these days think it's a marketing-driven process. Whilst it is, there's a little bit of nuance to it. So I'll get to that in just a moment. And then the third part is to be your best every single time. How do we make sure? How do we make your team? How do we make sure how do we make sure every part of your sales and marketing is your best foot forward, your best every single time? It's absolutely vital that we're able to put ourselves out there, but do it right. Whether you've just had a meeting with the accountant and they've stolen your dreams. No, I'm joking. Not picking on accountants today, but my wife's one. But the dog's bitten you, or your life partner has said something, and you need to be clear. You need to be straight. You need to be absolutely on point. Because if your product and or solution provides a real solve for your customers, and you are giving it, you're sort of half-assing, excuse my language, if you're doing a half job when it comes to your sales, your communication, then that customer is going to miss out on buying from you. And that's actually your fault. It's like a doctor having the cure for whatever ails you, and the person is going, "Oh, you could take this," and it feels like an option. Don't really want to do it, and that person doesn't actually solve the problem they've got. So it's actually your obligation and your moral obligation to be your best every single time. And the last part, we're going to be talking about your sales machine fuel. So back when I was building, back when about 8 years ago, I started in consulting, and in that time, I was just working because my niche or my area of expertise is sales and marketing, but I specifically like the strategy and sales piece. This is why this topic is particularly near and dear to my heart. With that, I would go ahead and build these great sales teams. I'd recruit, train, build these great sales teams. They'd be absolutely motivated, ready to rock and roll. And then the fuel that feeds that sales machine is the marketing. And if the marketing's not right, the leads are not going to be there, and your good quality salespeople are just going to leave. Good quality salespeople have options. Much like all of your team who are top quality, if you've got high performers in your business, doesn't matter what space they're in, they've got options, and the industry knows them. So you better be able to provide them with a high level of quality leads in relation to sales. And of course, if they're developers, a high quality level of opportunities and challenges. A lot of these people see them as problem solvers. So you've got to give them, big, chunky, meaty problems to actually deal with. So this is the type of thing I'm talking about is how do you actually make sure that you've got enough fuel in the machine? Okay, so before we get into it, just want to make sure you, for those of you, as I said, the 40 or 50 people that are here that haven't heard of me before, actually, I don't know how many people are here, but hopefully there's a few of you. Just want to bring your attention to the one on the top right-hand corner. So Sean from Nexusoft. So we're talking about the sales process. He sells an extremely complex product that can solve a whole range of problems for businesses. And just the last sentence here, by implementing his recommendations, we stopped giving away our expertise for free and started monetizing our sales process, which has been instrumental in driving nearly $2 million in new business in the last 3 months. And that's important because because sales in really, really complex products is hard. And often businesses have a real challenge when it comes to taking that leap of faith, taking that next step when it comes to making a purchasing decision. Because, hey, we're 2024. Lots and lots of businesses have been burned by software that hasn't lived up to the hype. And what that means is they've built machinery around the purchasing and the acquisition of those softwares to slow it down, to look at it again, to really think hard about whether or not their existing system is okay, because change management is painful, and that's what we need to make sure we can remove from that from the equation, or not just remove, but make sure the customer's happy with what we're trying to achieve here. Okay, let's keep going. So the thing with marketing is the number one asset for any business or entrepreneur or personal brand is attention. This is Gary Vaynerchuk. If you don't know who Gary is, started a YouTube channel a couple of years ago, tasting wine. He's now built that into a media marketing empire, doing about $600 million a year. And he's all about creating that level of attention, creating more eyes on him and eyes on his business. Because really, the only reason you don't have enough sales is not enough people know about you. And that is that's a hard thing for people to hear, because they think, oh, well, I don't have enough sales because we haven't released this next product yet, or we don't have enough sales because whatever, excuse number 942. But really, if more people knew about you, you would have more leads. That is a fact. Because if we think about it, if an influencer, let's just be silly, if Kevin Hart decided to be and go into competition with you right now, right today, that business would outsell you tenfold simply because he's got the eyeball, simply because 100 million people know who he is. Not the product might not be as good. It's probably not going to be, but the thing is, more people know about it. So your job is to get attention. Your job, of course, table stakes. You've got to build a great product, of course. You've got to be able to provide great service, absolutely. But really, that front end sales piece, that's all that proof. You need to be able to get more attention. So let's talk about the 4 key areas that I mentioned. And the 4 main areas, the 4 main impact areas to drive revenue, drive growth are, number 1, your target market. Now, I know we've spoken about your target market before, but as I said, I'm doing this for the people who haven't seen these sessions before. So clearly define and understand your best fit buyers to ensure your lead generation efforts focus on the right audience. Demographics is not enough to understand this, but you need to understand the psychographics of your best fit buyer. And we'll talk about that more in just a moment. Second step is your circle of influence. How many people know you and can refer you and can intelligently speak about you? And the first thing you need to do is make sure every single person in your organization and their families know what you do, and they can wrap it up in a very nice little bundle. They can articulate your value, who you work for, the problem you solve, and how you go about solving that problem really clearly in not an elevator pitch, but in a really narrow way where they go, oh, this problem, you need to talk to Barry or you need to talk to Michael. Michael's the guy if you've got XYZ issue. And that's the type of thing we need to be able to get out there and make sure you can expand your circle of influence. If you want to know more about that, I've done webinars actually, the last webinar I did speaks specifically about how to get more attention, how to grow more leads. Actually, you've probably seen my face enough. I'll just focus on the slides just to make sure we do that. Okay, so the third part is, oops, move my mouse off the slides here. There we go. Back here we go. Right. Your relationships. How do you need to make sure you build and nurture lasting relationships with your prospects through personalized communication and value-driven interactions. Would your best fit buyer share your content with a colleague? Actually, I'm going to bring myself back here because this is so important. The sort of content that you put out there, is it just, you know, a lame image with a caption, a line saying, you know, it's all good to be me? Or, you know, if you're a florist with a picture of a set of flowers saying it's hello from, you know, Sorrento Florist, it's not really doing anything for your brand. It's not really inspiring your customers to interact with your content. This is one of the key areas that you need to think about, is how do you make your content so good, so interesting that other people want to share it? So that means there's still a big place for really high quality content like blogs, articles, thought leadership in relation to, you can break these pieces up into social media content, video content. That's exactly the reason I started my podcast. Small plug. Podcast is the CEO and the Salesman podcast. So I interview CEOs. I'm the salesman. I'm always interested in what's in CEOs. I'm always interviewing CEOs who've already made to another level. You know, I was speaking to people who have listed and exited listed companies, people who have raised tens, hundreds of millions of dollars. So on my podcast, and solving really big global problems and expanded in the globe. And I want to know how they did it, because I want that content. I want that creative to go out to people. I want to be able to share lessons that I've learned in 25 years of being in business and growing more than 6 successful tech businesses, and those people who've really expanded in what they're doing. So think about your content and build a relationship based on high quality content, high quality thoughts, because the role of marketing is doing a lot of lifting these days. What you look like externally is doing a hell of a lot of lifting. And if you're not putting your best foot forward and building that relationship, people aren't going to buy from you. It's cold comfort to sit at home and think to yourself, geez, I've got the best product in the world, and not actually have the most number of sales. And the last part is, where it is, there it is, your offer. This is what we're going to be talking about today. How do we develop that offer? How do we develop your communication with the client? All right, and so just to continue that theme, I'm going to make myself small again over here. Now, the thing is with your product and or service, it is what we learned from our friend at Atlassian, Scott, is it's not about having the best product, but having the best understanding of what your customers really need. Now, this is a key area, and one thing that's missing here is not your customers' need, but your best customers' need. Because the commodity that we all have a lack of is time. And spending time with people who aren't a good fit for your business is it's tantamount to just handing cash away. I specifically don't work with people right at the early stage of the MVP stage. And I interviewed a person who'd grown multiple technology businesses in my podcast, CEO and the Salesman. I spoke with Kirk, and he's grown multiple technology businesses, worked with the largest businesses in the world. He now helps people break that bridge to go from 0 to 1. how to build a model in the business that is successful. And that's the person I refer people to who are in that 0 to 1 stage, who have got an idea, who are trying to bring something to market. I work with businesses who are looking to scale up, who have got, who have solved serious problems, who have got great delivery mechanisms. They've got customers that are out there that are happy. Now, with my customers, they're putting the foot down, and it's time to really grow that revenue. So the thing is, what we speak about all the time is when I'm dealing with those customers, I'm talking about the next part, which is the ABCs of targeting. And that is, I've got a slide about that. And so the ABCs of targeting is, think about your customer base. Think about the number of customers in you that you deal with on a weekly or a daily basis. And often your mind goes to the ones that have problems. And the ones that actually soak up a lot of time in your customer service bucket, and your customer service people, are actually not great. They might have asked for a discount. I know that in my technology business, we actually found that the ones we gave a discount to, did more for, made extra effort, are the ones that became the most painful clients. So it's a shortcut. It's a heuristic in your mind that the ones you've got to do all the work for and discount and bend over backwards for and answer the phone at 8 o'clock on a Friday night, if they call, that's also a red flag if they're calling at 8 o'clock on a Friday night, unless you're offering 24-hour support. These people are what we call C-grade clients. So let me take you through A, B, and C. A is not for good, B for average, and C for crummy. That's not how I think about clients. How I think about them is A for absolute. These are the clients that are absolutely a perfect fit for us. They're getting outsized value from what we do. They love us, and they're the types of people we would have a beer with if you're so inclined to do such things. So I want you to think about your customer base. Think about the faces of the people that you deal with, and the ones you absolutely love dealing with. They get massive outsized value from your product. They get massive outsized, and they actually, you know what? And they probably take very little time in customer service. And the time they do spend with you is energetically a good trade there. Like, they actually love you. I've got a client who I speak with very often, but I actually like him. He's got great feedback for me, and he uses, and he actually listens to what I say, and is growing his business very, very quickly because he actually cares. Whereas the other ones will complain, and this doesn't work and that doesn't work, and they're always the ones looking for the discount. So A for absolute, B for beneficial, and then C for convenient. Beneficial, good trade and exchange, everybody's reasonably happy, but C is for convenient. And this is where SaaS businesses really have a problem. SaaS businesses say they're going to onboard 1,000 people like this. The problem is those 1,000 might be convenient clients, sure, easy to get, but the level of effort, time, and energy and brain power to actually service these people who are not perfect, who are not great fits for you, is just too taxing. And that's why it looks like this: 80% revenue and 20% time of effort at the top of the pyramid there, and at the bottom, 20% of the revenue and 80% of time and effort. And we just know for a fact that if you go after the right type of customer from the beginning, you really, like Scott said in the previous slide, if you really understand what your customers are after, then you're going to be able to deliver products for them, communicate via marketing with them, communicate via sales with them, and you're going to develop and build an excellent rapport with these people, and you're going to make sure that you attract those types of people, because you can actually be really, really targeted. And there's plenty of ways to target people, lots of technology that's available. Okay, so that's the first part. They're the 4 keys with a little bit of extra. I think in structure, if you hadn't figured that out already, I think in format and structure, because it's, once again, it's a heuristic. I'm always speaking live to people. I'm always, that's my job, strategy, sales. That's all I ever do. And I need to think in structures because I want to make sure I'm my best every time. And this is why I build these structures. And if you don't have structures in your business around this type of thing, around how to think, not just what to think, but how to think. If I can teach you how to think today, then I think I've done, I know I've done my job. Okay, so now I want to talk about the evolution of sales. So the evolution of sales has changed massively over the years. And in particular, when I first started my first business back in 1999. So I'll tell you exactly how we used to do it. I'll bring myself back to 50-50. Here we go. There we go. So we would put adverts in the newspaper. Look up what a newspaper is if you don't know. So we would put adverts in the newspaper. We would it would be 1 column wide, 5 centimeters, so 5 by 1, 5 centimeters by 1, in the back and in the classified section of every single newspaper in Australia and New Zealand and any other country that we're in. And it would have people, there would have 1-800 number, and people would phone us. People would actually phone us. And then sales would take over right after the marketing thing happened. Sales would happen, and then sales job would then be to build that trust, the credibility, the story of the business, the qualification, the diagnosis, and the prescription. Diagnosis and the prescription are important. And they would then have multiple touch points along the path of follow-up and communication, and maybe a demo, and all these types of things would occur over time. And then the sale would occur. Now, I'm not saying sales cycles are terribly elongated. They feel elongated today, but I'll tell you why. Because when you're not delivering in that sales bucket, back today I'm talking about, if you're not delivering in the sales bucket, you're actually going to miss out on this, and the marketing cycle and the sales cycle will drag out. You need to be absolutely on point every single time, because what happens today is that marketing happens, and marketing now has the job of building trust and credibility, telling your story. Then they might inquire. And then the sales, they got one shot, as Eminem said. You've got one opportunity to actually do this right. People don't have the time to sit with you and listen to your long story and build credibility and be mailed out references. We literally used to send out a package with references. So now people are going to look on your website, look on your socials, look on your blog, and they go, if they're not talking about this stuff, they don't have it. So that's important. It's vital to have your marketing doing the work. But sales, when it gets to a demo, and I literally just had a customer of a client of mine just yesterday who is challenged by this idea. Let me just grab my phone. Here it is. He sent me this text this morning. Okay, this is a bit unscripted, but we'll get there. That's what people come along to these webinars for. It's just Matthew talking. So, hey, Matt, I won't say the person's name. Demo went great yesterday. The decision maker attended and pre-sold me without having to prompt. I almost would have lost them when one engineer went on a warpath to prove his expertise in front of everyone, except I pulled it back in by asking questions to take control and moved on quickly. Awesome advice from you there, mate. We closed with them wanting a POC in the next available project slot. So it's not, his product didn't get better magically. His ability to articulate his product became amazing because I was able to help him specifically about that piece. So he had a demo coming up. I spoke with him yesterday, gave him some specific coaching. Because what happens is often people are looking for reasons to say no, not looking for reasons to say yes. And so the engineer that he's talking about, I predicted that would happen because it became a demo with 8 people. There's always going to be someone in there. So just think about this. And if you're an engineer, I'm not trying to offend you. The world is, I would not want to drive my car without an engineer involved in it, or I wouldn't want to drive over a bridge or even speak on this platform without an engineer. So all respect and love to engineers. But the thing is, though, often they represent, and I personally identify themselves as problem solvers, because they spend all day solving problems. And they look through hundreds of lines of code to find that colon or that space that was, the spurious, misspelling or whatever it might be. The problem is, though, that those people also find problems in their own life. They, for a problem solver to even have a valid existence, they need problems. So if you're doing a presentation and you're trying to be the expert and you're not engaging with them at a question and answer conversation level, they will sometimes try to take over the conversation. So it's really important for you to think about, how do I bring this background? And by the way, if you want to have a conversation with me after this webinar, just in the comments section, just say Focus Finder, because that's the name of the workshop that I do. So just put Focus Finder in the comments if you want to meet with me, and I can take you through some of that specific training. So it's specific for you. That's free. I give away my ideas, and I get paid. I get paid to do execution. I had somebody here saying, what does Matt refer to people at the start of the sales journey? I missed the name of the at the start of the sales journey. What does Matt refer people to at the start of the sales journey? I'm not sure what you mean. let's move on, and maybe somebody else can answer that. I'm sorry, my brain's on the next slide, Luke. I'll come back to you, Luke. I'll remember you, and I'll come back later on. So that's got me thinking now. Anyway, I'll carry on. So today, just backing onto my slides here, marketing is doing a lot of the work, but sales is actually more important to have that sales stuff nailed down because you've got smaller chances. You've got less time. People don't want to spend time building trust, credibility, and all those types of things. They want to make sure that there's a very, very narrow, there's a narrow window for you to get it right, or you're going to get out, and then you fall into the hellish, follow-up loop, and that's a real pain. Okay, so let me bring down here and this is what most sales processes now look like. This is the sales process that we build for clients. Here's an example of the user journey. I'll make this full screen. If you want to screenshot it, you can. So what we've got here is stage one, unaware of the problem, all the way through to choosing a vendor. And as you can see here, sales don't get involved until here, right down at the end of the path. This person's, seen some of our social ads, or these could be paid or free. LinkedIn outreach, they could communicate with us on LinkedIn. They might have read Lead Magnet, which is the definitive guide to, whatever, streamlining your whatever, or your webinar. This is like today, blogs or socials. Then they might be seeking solutions. So they enter our email sequence, or reading one of our guides, or looking through our case studies. Then they give us their details. People are also reluctant to give us details now. So we want to make sure that we're right down here. Sales enablement happens. Then you've got to be good. It's time to get really good at that piece. Because if you're not really good at that piece, you're going to miss deals, and people will, I'll get back to you. I'll, what do we call it? I'll call you later, or I'll follow up, or I'll let you know when we're ready, or some other nonsense like that. That is absolutely, Christmas is coming. If somebody, they're just not going to be able to, they're not going to convert. There are better things to do. They've got other things to do. Their current solution is probably already solving the problem inelegantly, not as well as you could have solved it, not as well as you do solve it. The problem is, though, it doesn't cost them anything to continue to solve the problem like that because they're already solving it. Yeah, you could say that they need, you could raise efficiency, or you could save people's time. But really, at the end of the day, they're already solving the problem. So you've got to be good at that time. All right. So, and the way to do this, the way to make sure that you actually build on this stuff, is to tell your story. And tell your story is, so Melanie Perkins, co-founder of Canva, sharing your story isn't just about marketing. It's about connecting with your customers on a human level. Once again, people think having the best product is the most important thing. It's not. People tell me that their market leading function is that we got great customer service. Look, everybody says that. You got a great product? Well, nobody's going to know until after they've bought it. And if you've never seen a car before, a car, a machine with 4 wheels, a steering wheel, and a seat, I could be describing a Ferrari or a Lada. And so unless you've actually bought it and owned one, you don't know the difference. Therefore, you need to be able to tell your story and engage them with your story. Engage them with how you actually operate. Engage them in that marketing sense before selling occurs. Because storytelling is baked deep into our collective psyches. Storytelling is a vital part of our survival. And if you're not telling stories, you're not telling stories to your children to help them understand life lessons. You're not telling stories to your friends. That's not going to be very good at parties. You need to engage with people. And sales and marketing is the same. You need to tell a story. You need to take people on a journey so they feel and understand where you're coming from. Sales is not a B2B thing, or a B2C, or a B to enterprise, whatever it is. It's a H to H endeavor, to human to human. Because businesses don't buy products. People buy products. The procurement person's got problems. The whoever, all of these people involved in the process, they're the ones you've got to convince, not the business. You can't convince a business because it's not a live thing. You have to convince people. And the way you do that is through story. And so how we do that here is I'll get rid of me, and you can take a screenshot. Actually, if you want these slides, just in the comment section, just say slides. And we'll make sure we send you the slides, because I think this is really important for you to really understand what this is. So industry problems you saw, how they are solved now, spreadsheets or whatever it is, how they fell short, the process that you went through. Because if you can position yourself as if you are somebody like them, then they will once again trust you. That trust is the first piece. So trust, know, like, and trust. How you went through it, the roadblocks along the way. Remember, every time we see another Spider-Man movie, we're going to be told that it was hard to be Peter Parker, and because he was a nerdy kid being bullied at school, and then has a spider bite him, and then Uncle Ben dies, and then he becomes a hero. So it's a journey of emotions. It's how do we make sure that people are able to take the journey with us every single time? And so, James, I'm happy to send you those slides. So please do think about your story and how you go through there. And the last part is your solution. Discuss your solution and what it really does. Okay. All right, then. So everybody's that's more than happy to send those out to you. And so, yeah, if you want the slides, just put a comment in here saying slides, please. All right. So we've talked about those two things. We've talked about, and now the third part is your sales process. Okay. Now your sales process shouldn't feel like this. I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse. That's not it. But what you do need is a script. And I can already hear everybody here having a moment, I don't want to do scripts. They seem wooden, and I need to be natural. I need to be easygoing. And well, you know what? Forget all that. No actor in Hollywood gets paid $50 million a movie, or $20 million a movie, without a script. If you think that you're better at seeming natural than Ryan Reynolds or The Rock or Kevin Hart, if you think you're better than that, well, then maybe you shouldn't be you don't need to be on this webinar. So the only reason you're not great at scripts is because you haven't practiced it. You probably didn't start out. You probably weren't born being a great engineer. You probably weren't born being a great leader of people. You learn these skills, and sales is a skill. As long as you follow the process. Now, I've been selling since I was 17, and my father was in sales for a publicly listed company. So maybe there's a bit of nature in there, but also every single time I speak to a new prospect, I've got multiple screens here. On this screen over here, I've got my script. Not because I don't know what I'm talking about. I've been doing this for a long time, but I want to make sure I'm my best every single time. Now, when it comes to scripts, you don't want this guy's script. That's not about it. What I'm trying to do here is have you understand that we're not trying to emotionally manipulate people. We're trying to be our best every time. We're trying to be the doctor that has the solution for this customer's problems. And if you just casually go, yeah, we've got it, take it if you like it, you become an order taker. You're not in sales. And if you're an order taker, well, then a website will eventually overtake your job because people will just be able to click and buy it on eBay, and lower cost environments will own you if you don't have any skill in this part. There's lower cost environments. There's lots of people out there, very enthusiastic. They will build an amazing website and run advertising against it. So sales is, well, the script is very, very important. So actually, if you want to book a strategy session with me or a focus finder session with me, please just put focus finder in there. If you just want the sales script, just put in the comment section, put sales script. More than happy to. I'll make sure that my team review all the comments and get everybody what they need, because we're connected on LinkedIn. I'll just say, hey, here it is. I will give you my sales script. The script that has literally sold more than $100 million of technology over the last 15 years, because it is a way of thinking, not a series of rote words. Having said that, I've got, as I said, I want to make sure that you've got structurally in your mind how a sales script operates. So here's how a sales script, I want you to think about a sales script. So if you do book a session with me, I will specifically go through your sales and help you build the right sales script for you. If you just want the script, just put in script. So just in comment section, just do that. So here's the anatomy of a sales script. And I know that every engineer here is going to start trying to do the math. Please don't. So dissatisfaction multiplied by the vision and first steps needs to be greater than the resistance. So it needs to be greater than the resistance. So you need to be able to talk to the customer about their dissatisfaction. Why are they not happy? And then also, what's the blue sky? Where do they want to go in the future? What does it look like going forward? So you need to be able to have the customer articulate that. One thing I want you to think about here is, because people have Because people have been hit up by salespeople who may not necessarily have the best intentions for the customer in mind, and you've probably experienced that, as have I. 7 o'clock on a Tuesday night, get a phone call. Hey, we want to sell you some whatever. What we need to do is we need to make sure that we're really driving value for these people. So the dissatisfaction needs to be built. We need to build the vision there, and then we need to make sure that the resistance is lowered. We need to make sure we're lightened. We need to make sure the resistance is light. So we need to make the first steps really, really small. Okay, let's carry on. Here is how you can be your best every time. I'm going to break this down for you. So number one, preparation and rapport. Number two, identifying needs and goals. Don't worry, I'll break all these down for you. I'm just going to give you the overview and then go through them individually. Number three, challenges and pain points. Number four, tailored solutions. And number five, guiding to action. Once again, where does the selling happen? Much like that marketing and selling scale that I gave you earlier, the selling happens, or the presenting or the pitching happens way later. I actually used to do this talk when I decided I want to be a public speaker. I thought, well, the best way to do that is just to get out there and do it. Did about 35 talks over the course of a year. And one of my slides was, let's define pitch. And I had a picture of a road surface. Said, well, pitch is a dark viscous substance usually obtained on roads. The thing is, though, that's how most people feel about being pitched to. They're stuck in a dark viscous substance, created from organic materials. They don't want to move. They're desperate to get out. So, excuse me, entertaining myself here. So I want you to think about how you pitch it and then how you guide it. I want you to think about guiding the customer and presenting tailored solutions. And your tailored solution is either correct for the customer or not. As I said, I'll refer early stage people to one friend. I'll refer people who need different video to another friend. It is not about me trying to be everything to everybody. If you've got a specific need, if you're a technology business or SaaS business, trying to put the foot down on growing your business, I'm your man. But all the other things happen in marketing, I can point you out to the right person. So make sure it's tailored, your solution. And of course, guiding people to action. Let's break it down. Number one. So the idea is begin by researching the prospect and using any gathered insights to establish rapport. Okay, by the way, I'm just going to bring myself to full screen here. Back in the day, 1999 when I started, rapport was, how was your weekend? Rapport was, you walk into somebody's office. If you're an in-person salesperson, they would talk about, you got fish on the wall. I'm going to talk about bass fishing. Or no, they'll talk about fishing, talk about forward driving, talk about all this nonsense, just to try to make sure the person is able to relate to us and make the conversation more free-flowing. 2024, competence is the new form of rapport. And competence, ability to have a conversation about the problem and getting to the point. People don't want to talk about the weekend anymore. They go, well, I've got limited time. I've got a diary full. Let's go. Or you get out. All of that rapport stuff can be built. That rapport stuff can be done on socials, on video marketing, can be done on a whole bunch of other webinars. And people who are booking in for focus finders with me, or people who want to communicate with me, do so because they go, this person might know some things, and actually he's not that annoying. So that's the sort of, I'm not going to talk about your weekend fishing. So competence is the new version of rapport building. So I want you to think about that. I think that's a really important point to think about. So we're going back to setting a clear agenda for the call helps build trust and keeps the conversation focused. But you can start the conversation, how are you going? And thanks very much. And you want to take control. How do you take control? Here's a script. Now, I'm not saying you have to say these word for word, but think about what I'm doing here. Well, start with a bit of rapport based on stuff you got from their website. Then, look, John, as we've got limited time, if it's okay with you, here's how I'd like to run the call. I'm going to go ahead and ask you a couple of questions about your business, dig into what you're looking to try to achieve. We'll look at what might be getting in the way. And then, maybe I can make some suggestions about what you can do. How's that sound? You've immediately taken control of the conversation. The person goes, oh, good, I'm dealing with a professional and I'm not going to be wasting my time. Nobody's ever said, just tell me the price. And if they do say, just tell me the price, and they go, this person is not for me, ask one or two qualifying questions and get them off the phone. I'd rather scroll Instagram Reels and talk to somebody like that. I'm not interested in talking to them. There's no value there. I've got enough leads. I've got enough people wanting to talk to me. And if you do this right, so will you. But it's better for your mental health if you literally just said, well, this product is not for you. Or if they go, well, how much is it? I would bring it out. I'd say, well, if you're looking for a bargain, if you're looking for the cheapest product in the market, we're not for you. Our best clients are ones that actually understand that value is typically based around the delivery, not the price. Does that make sense? And if they go, no, just tell me the price. Well, look, I don't think this is for you. That's it. It's over. 25, 30 minutes, one back in your day. Happy days. Go for a walk outside. Touch grass, as they say. So, number 2, identifying needs and goals. So the idea, structurally, remember I start with structure and then I give you some script. So idea, uncover the prospect reasons for the call, diving into their goals and any immediate pain points. Open-ended questions can encourage the prospect to reveal what they're struggling with and also motivates them to seek solutions. So the script might be, so John, what prompted you to make the time for this call today? It just sounds so crazy obvious, but if you don't have that there, if you don't ask that question, you're going to get caught up in this constant, they're going to start peppering you with questions. And like I just said about my client who I coached with that demo, it's the questions that get you the sale, not your answers. It's the questions that get you the sale, not your answers. Because you're an expert in your field. Whatever your field is, who are watching today, whatever your field is, you're the expert. The person talking to you are not as qualified to talk about your product as you. So they're not qualified to ask high level or really great questions. So why answer them? So, for example, and I gave the example to this chap, Will, yesterday. And engineers go, well, what do you use AWS? I'm just giving you a really, really broad, because everybody knows what AWS and these do. Do you use AWS? The answer is not yes or no. Whilst it might be yes or no, don't give a yes or no, because that helps you in no way understand the client's needs. The answer is, we've got a number of ways of dealing with online stories. You have a particular preference. And if it's got to be Azure, oh, right, why is that? Oh, because we're Microsoft all the way through and through. Got it, I understand that. Then the backup question might be, look, over our time together, if we discover that AWS or Google is a better solution for you, is going to provide you better, faster, cheaper solution, would you be open to changing? They go, no, we have to do Azure. Well, you store that information in your head. Don't recommend anything other than Azure. If you don't work with Azure, then you can get out of that sales call straight away. Don't try to shoehorn them in. If they've said no, they're not going to change, then you're out. But if they say, well, look, we can take all these things into consideration. If we can have a conversation about it, that means that they've actually started to give you a little bit of credit, a little bit of rapport, a little bit of trust, because they're opening their minds to the possibility that they may not know everything. Really important psychological positioning to think about the sales script there, to think about the sale process, because sales is about status. You've got something they need, therefore they need to be like a patient in a doctor's surgery. The doctor's like, how does it hurt? Where does it hurt? Okay, so remember, if you don't get enough information, what prompts you to make the call today? If you don't get enough information, so can you tell me a bit more about that? Or what do you mean by, we need to make more sales, or we need to we need to get our data under control? Oh yeah, what do you mean by that? And how does that work? And how often does that work? Start asking more questions, because the thing is, you need the customer. I picked this idea up from a friend of mine. He would say, get the customer to kick their own bruise, because everything you say, because if you go, oh well, I know that's a problem for businesses like yours because of this, and this. Let me just go full screen. Let's me bring, whoopsie, wrong button. This one. Right. The reason I say this is that you want to make sure the customer is saying more than you, because everything that you say, because there's a commercial reality underpinning all everything you say, even though you're an expert, you're an engineer, you're a respected person in your field, but remember, there's still a commercial reality at the end of this. If you get your way, they're paying you money. So you need to say less things, because everything you say is colored with the fact that there's a commercial reality behind it and potentially a lie. Flip that over though. Everything the customer says is the truth in their mind. So therefore, it only makes sense for them to say more. How often does that happen? Anyway, so we'll get onto that in just a moment. Everything you say is potentially a lie. Everything they say is probably the truth, as far as they're concerned. Get them to talk about it. Identifying needs. Right. Next one, challenges and pain points. Talk about their pain. The idea here is dig deeper into specific challenges, focusing on why previous solutions may not have worked. This chapter helps the prospect feel understood and primes them to consider new approaches. I've already started to talk about that already. So here, how long have you been dealing with this? Why do you think this problem exists? Now, this is my favorite question. What else have you tried to solve this problem? What else have you tried to do to fix this? Because the thing is, if they've tried Power BI reports, or they've tried this or tried that or tried something else, and you go and recommend Power BI, even though the structure, the database that's going to feed that information is way different, if they've already tried something and it's failed, then you recommending that is going to allow them to eliminate you as a supplier. That's what I've written here. This is a great question. It'll tell you what they've tried before, so you don't recommend it. Remember, prospects are often looking for ways to eliminate you and test your knowledge. Then, what have you tried to fix? And why do you think that didn't work? Amazing question. Barely the best question I ask. Best question I've ever come up with. Why didn't that work? They're going to tell you. Because then they'll go, well, the PM wasn't great, or this didn't work, or that didn't work, or the AP, whatever. They just give you so much information, because then they start really talking about their problems. Because of them talking about their problems is the path to your success. All right, let's carry on. Number 4. The idea here is outline. So presenting tailored solutions, the outline relevant solutions at a high level without going into too much detail. Focus on the benefits that create excitement by showing how these solutions can bridge the gap between the current struggles and the desired outcomes. So you need to know what the desired outcomes are, of course. Just keep it high level. When somebody talks to me, I say, look, we need to do 4 things. We talk about the 4 keys. You need to build your target market, make sure you build an audience. You need to build and nurture that audience. You need to make them offers. And we need to work in those, and we need to continually work in a cycle of those things. I haven't said that I'm going to do Facebook ads or Google ads or do a video. That's not relevant. That's the tactical. We always want to stay in a sales conversation strategic, because the moment you start saying Facebook ads or video, we've tried that, doesn't work. Okay. So, we enterprise data warehouse. We've got, we don't want that, because we've got Excel spreadsheets and we've got Access database. Only half joking there. We do hear that a bit. Okay, so people buy from us when somebody says, what do you do? So how we walk into this is, well, I see what you're trying to do there. I understand this, this, and this. Would you like me to tell you a little bit about what we do? And by this stage in the conversation, by the way, in my actual sales script, these 5 ideas are broken out into 13. We go really quite deep in. I give you the words inside each one of those. So for those of us joining us late, just put in slides. I actually put in script in the chat, and I'll make sure you get a copy of my script. Okay. So then what we're talking about here is, when somebody says, what do you do? I say, look, John, people buy from us when they're ready to scale their business. They've solved a genuine problem in the market, and now it's time to grow. Does that make sense? Or, for you here in the audience, you might be, well, look, firstly, people buy from us when they recognize your internal systems have done a good job getting them to where they are. But as the business grows, they need to mature their processes to achieve X, whatever that X is. And because that X, because you've spent 30 minutes talking to them about their problems, you can pick one of those X's and go, to solve this problem. You go, that's me. So this is the thing, it's not about trying to create a situation where you're beating them into submission. You're taking knowledge from what you've learned and presenting it in the best way possible. It's your duty and obligation to be the best you can be every single time. That's why that client of mine phoned me half an hour before the webinar, before their demo, said, Matt, quickly, let's go through this. And I went, boom, 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 and gave him the answers, and he texted me this morning. Okay, so number 5, the idea is to address the objections, introduce pricing, establish a clear next step. This chapter moves the conversation from interest to commitment, ensuring a seamless transition towards working together. And what does that look like? I know there's a lot, but I'm just going to run it through, and you can take from it what you like. So, look, John, we've got several ways to help businesses like you. However, whilst I have an idea about your business, it's a little bit too early to be really prescriptive about exactly what we'd suggest. I'd prefer to get a grasp of the nuances of your business and markets you play in so we can really make a precise suggestion that'll match your business exactly. Are you happy with that? You go, oh, yeah. Look, that's why I recommend we start by building out a roadmap. And the roadmap, we can actually call that the market decider. Oh, by the way, I've named my first piece of consulting market decider. You should, if you're selling a complex software product that requires scoping and discovery, you need to call your scoping and discovery something interesting, because then it's a product that you own. Apple doesn't sell VR goggles, they sell Vision Pro. Apple sell iPhones. They've named, they don't do text messages, they do iMessage. Own your words, because then you can't be compared to anybody else. Own your words. Nobody else is doing a market decider. Own your words. That's, I can do a whole hour on own your words. Own the terminology, because if you can create and own some terminology, then you can't be compared. If you say, I'm going to do some scoping and discovery. Oh, we've got scoping and discovery we did a year ago. Here, just use that and give me a quote. Now you aren't able to build any rapport. You're not able to actually prescribe real solution. You're not able to ask anything. And certainly the hearts and minds program that usually this is going to be missed. And then you'll just be a commodity of price versus price, and you're out. So that's why I recommend this. Essentially, this checks how ready your business is for output, where I get to understand your business success factors and where the easiest growth opportunities lie. Okay, so this is really important. You need to be able to say to a person, they may not qualify still. They may not be good for your product. You want customers to feel like they've earned a place in working with you. Okay. So I know this is probably breaking every single rule in the slide deck rule book, but I want to get this all in one. You can screenshot it, or as I said, ask for the slides in the comments. This is the fuel. This is your marketing engine that we built here at Tech Talk. This is the marketing engine we recommend to a lot of clients. Obviously, a lot of work goes into this, and we can skip some parts. You can lightly touch some parts. You can't miss any parts. So understanding your target market to the level of psychographics, building high quality, high impact content. You've got to be able to make sure your content, your creative, your communication to the marketplace. Remember that timeline before? You need to be able to make sure that you can communicate, build trust, value, rapport, tell your story virtually. Blogs, articles, videos, whatever it might be. You need to build lead magnets. Somebody's going to trade their email address, their information for your valuable piece of information. It's problem-solving guides, lists, whatever it might be. You've then got there's not much point building it and then not distributing it. You got to distribute it well through organic and paid. Both are fine. Organic just takes longer and requires a higher volume. Paid is like just cutting to the front of the line. That's all you're doing with paid versus organic. Your content's still got to be good. People just, if you're not putting out good quality paid advertising, it's going to be ignored just as bad as your low quality content. So because what happens is advertising now sits within our entertainment, always has been, actually, to be quite honest, whether it be newspaper advertising, TV advertising, or Facebook or YouTube or whatever it might be, it sits within that entertainment piece. And you need to be able to make sure that you're able to deliver that piece of that you distribute it successfully and have it high quality. Retargeting, don't just get one go at it, get multiple goes at it. SEO and SEM, obviously, search engine marketing, search engine optimization, building your network. The more people that know you, the greater your network, more opportunities, and then going back and optimizing over and over and over and optimizing. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining today. That's the 4 key areas I wanted to take you through. They're the main parts. That's what's really going to make the difference in your business. Let's just do a quick review. So we've talked about the 4 key areas. Done that. The evolution of sales, from being a sales front end to a marketing front end. Sales, actually, there's more requirement for high quality salespeople today than there ever has been in the past. Sales might make fewer calls, but those calls need to be absolutely bang on, because if they're not, you're not going to get another chance. Very rarely will you get 2, 3, 5 phone calls. Back in the day in 1999, people would answer the phone. Hello. People would knock on the door and answer it. Not anymore. Even now, today, somebody rings my doorbell. I'm on my bloody Eufy thing going, who is that? I don't know who that is. Hello? I can see them. So you've got to make sure that you're doing the work through marketing, and then your sales have got to be absolutely bang on. Fourth part is be your best every time. And that's getting your sales absolutely bang on every single time. And your sales machine fuel. So they're the 4 key areas we covered. Hopefully I've given you a reasonably good way of thinking about this stuff. I know that we didn't do a lot of exact prescription stuff, but this is about how to think about it. I'll try to give you some scripts. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a couple of offers here we've got today. This is, let's find your path of least resistance. Let's do a Focus Finder workshop. So in the comments, put Focus Finder workshop. That's a free 45 minutes. I'll go through your sales and marketing, make some recommendations, provide you some guidance there. If you want my script, and in that we can also talk about your script. If you want my slides, put in slides. If you want to say thank you, Matthew, then put in thank you, Matthew. Whatever it might be. If you've been halfway entertained by this conversation, let me know, because it's always good to know what people think about what's in here. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said, I'm trying to bring this down to an hour. We've got 55 minutes. I think I've absolutely nailed it. Thank you so much for your time. If there are any questions, like I did say, there's going to be some question time. So do put in questions in the box there, Luke. I'm going to contact you directly to see what you meant by that, and I'll make sure I answer that question for you there, mate. If there are any questions, anything like that, please let me know. If not, we can finish up there. I think the comments come through a little bit slowly. Thanks, Terry. No worries at all. James, I'll get that information to you. No problems at all. Thanks, James. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you do have any questions, still put the questions in the comments, and I'll go ahead and type them away or give you a bell, and we can go from there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for spending some time with me. Happy Halloween, I think, and I'll talk to you later. All the best. Bye for now.